Hello folks, been a little while as always since I've done one of these, but it's a new year and I've had a lot of stuff on my mind, and I wanted to talk about pressure. Now, what do I mean by this? So what I want to actually talk about is personal pressure that people find themselves, like, you know, what we do as humans, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to achieve things in life, but I want to like look at it from, you know, if it's why we do it and how it could be a bad thing and how it affects us day to day. I personally have not had the greatest start to 2018, but you know, that's just how it goes, and that's kind of what triggered me to do this video and got me thinking about these kind of things. So an example of like people putting pressure on themselves is, let's go with one of the most obvious things is buying a house. You know, the older you get, you want somewhere to live, and you want to buy a house, ideally. You know, not everybody wants that, but that's a good common thing that a lot of people would like to do at some point in their life, is buy a house. And you know, you put pressure on yourself, and how do you do that? Well, you do it because you say, you know, at this point in my life, I want to have a house. Or you might say, oh, I need to start saving for money, and then we do extreme things sometimes to get to that point. So if I wanted a house, I would start saving up. Maybe I'm trying to put too much money back a month to get to there, and then, you know, it starts to put stress on me and not be able to go out, or, you know, it can affect my life in many ways. But, you know, there are other things that we as people and humans do, and we put pressure on ourselves. You know, kids, house, learning to drive, getting a new job, you know, feeling that it almost creates that feeling of we're not, it's almost like trying to achieve a lot in sort of unrealistic times sometimes, and that's kind of what I want to look at. I have a friend, not going to name any names, who basically wants, you know, kids, house, marriage, all this sort of stuff in their life, and I don't blame them. I think it's fantastic that they know what they want, but the one thing, bless them, is that I think they don't realise that they want it in a certain period of time, which, you know, is respectable, but they put so much pressure on themselves to want these things. It's actually quite hard to stand by and see this, because when I'm now 28, I'm 28 years old, and when I was in my early 20s and even before that in my teens, you know, I wanted to do school and college. I didn't want to go to uni originally, and I wanted to get a job and start looking at things I wanted to do for the rest of my life. You know, it didn't work out that way. You know, I went to uni, I did 4 years of college, I went to uni. You know, after uni I've had jobs in retail, and the older I've got, I realised that there isn't this rush, or at least it's not, I must do everything in my 20s and be like this place, this place and this place, which, you know, I used to think about, and I used to put those pressures on myself to want to be in these points in my life. Now, going forward, I've realised that actually the most important thing you can do in your life is getting a place where you're comfortable and take steps towards things at a pace that is also comfortable for you. Now, I'm lucky in the fact that a lot of things that I want in life are just to be able to enjoy myself and to be able to do the things that I love. So making music and making YouTube videos and running that sort of stuff is great for me. I obviously want a job in these areas that would pay really well, but, you know, I first and foremost, I do them because I love them and I want to do them and I enjoy them. So I have a retail job. It's not great, I mean, it can be, but, you know, it pays the way. And for me, time has now become more valuable than money, because I need time to do videos, I need time to do music. But I also put pressure on myself as well, as somebody who's like, these are my things, I'm like, I must do this amount of music, I must do this amount of videos and stuff, and I'm like, ugh. But not in the same extreme way as some people put on other things in life that fundamentally are more important, like having a family or house. Anyway, so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I wonder if it's an age thing. I really do, because when I was that age, I was very much at a point where, you know, I wanted a lot of stuff very quickly, and it took me a few years to work it out. And then this friend of mine is at that stage, and it's really hard to watch them go through it, because I've been there and I've seen it, and I want them to understand that the things that they want, they will more than likely get, and I believe that they will. But they've just got to realise that doesn't have to all come at once. And, you know, unfortunately for this person, they're dealing with a lot of stuff at the moment in their life, So I think it's almost like a, pressure from all angles, and it's quite upsetting for them. And I think it's interesting that you see this, it's on Facebook alone. You see some of the stuff that people post, and you just think, crikey, like, why are you putting all this pressure on yourself? I saw something the other day, a friend of mine saying that they, along the lines of not being good enough or messing up or something, and you just think, well, we all do it. We're human. We screw up all the time. We ain't perfect. We can't be perfect 100%. No one is. And we will get to points where we're going to make mistakes, or it takes time. Time is one of those things that just helps you realise, things that you did in the past, or I was stupid or good. You have to wait for that to pass then to be able to reflect on it. But like going back to my main concept, this pressure that we put on ourselves as people, like, it fascinates me, because I'm pretty sure if I spoke to any of my friends and stuff, they have pressures on their lives. It might not seem like obvious things, but pressures that we put upon ourselves because we either want things, or we want to do well, or we want to please people, or the list goes on. And as the older I've got, I've realised it's less important, massively. But it's also, everyone has one thing or a couple things that they consider being massively important to themselves, and that they want to, they use it as almost a drive. But the question is, when does it become too much and becomes too stressful? I'll give an example for me. People that know me know that I am, or at least I consider myself, quite, I always want to be there for people. I always want to talk to people. I want to be, people that I meet, I want to be as open with as possible, and be as friendly with as possible. And as time's gone on, from my teenage years to my late 20s, I've realised that trying to talk to everybody, trying to be there for everybody, and trying to be like the best me that I can is impossible, without being stressful stuff. Because I'm almost having to keep this like 100% positive energy all the time, and push, it doesn't matter what I'm dealing with, just push through, and be this person who is always there for people and is Mr. Positive. And I'm lucky enough that, for me, I am fairly positive. I would say 99% of the time. I don't get upset too easily. I don't get stressed out too much. But I do have my days, like everybody does. And yeah, I've realised as time's gone on that trying to be there for everybody is just impossible. You can't do it, and it's caused problems for me in the past. And I've realised now at this point that, like, if I can put all the effort I want into keeping in touch with people and being there for people and being as best as I can, but if other people aren't going to be willing to put that effort in, then it's best to take a step back, rather than keep putting that pressure on myself to be like, I must be there for everybody, which is very, very difficult to do. So this is a bit of a weird video. It's a bit of a weird topic, but I actually I'm curious to see what people if this makes people go away and think about what they put on themselves and the pressures that they go through. I think it's really interesting. I do believe most people will, and I believe it's the slightly younger people to put pressure on themselves now, have these huge expectations. And I'm not saying you shouldn't kick yourself up the bum and try and reach things, but it's when you see stuff and you see people trying to realise these things and deal with these things in a lot short space of time, rather than realising actually you've got a longer period of time to eventually have all these things, or to eventually get the thing that you want, and that time and that patience. And yeah, it is weird in a lot of ways, and you stop and think about it. It's like, ooh, hang on a minute, yeah, this is unnecessary. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not a particularly long topic. Just something that's on my mind. I just wanted to talk about and get it out there. So thank you very much for watching. Obviously, drop me a message. Let me know what people think. So if there's anything, it's a cool topic to discuss, I think, and it's I find it interesting. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, whenever that may be.